Denise, you did just a fantastic job in the first segment talking with Judge Erica Lee Williams, and today you're picking up on part two.
Yeah, part two, because this journey of her having to, trying to overcome and just going through with the battle of cancer. But anyway, let's just take a look. So last time we saw the part one of the story with Erica Williams about her health journey and cancer. This time we're going to delve down just a little bit deeper because she was faced with the diagnosis. Now she's going to share a story about what it was like going through the diagnosis, the treatments, and what life looks like for her then and now. So Erica, welcome back to Urban Lifestyle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's pick up on, you've got the diagnosis and now you had started off at a hospital here. And basically let's touch on, I'm going to say, some of the big moments of this health journey that you were faced with in regards to leukemia. You said something about it being a blood cancer, and it's not like, share about that part again for people to understand, because I didn't.
Sure. So leukemia is a blood cancer. I didn't have much information about blood cancer until I got it. But unlike other cancers, which are all very serious, this is not one you simply remove, at least when it's acute myeloid leukemia, which is what I had, which is different than chronic. So acute meaning I had the time of diagnosis without treatment, probably a couple of weeks to live. They sent my blood work off and found out that I had 2 mutations that made me have a poor prognosis. And so I was given about an 11% chance of survival. So we had to do chemotherapy plus a stem cell transplant plus something extra. So we went to MD Anderson down in Houston, Texas for my stem cell transplant, and then they put me into a clinical trial to see if they could help me. And I was on chemotherapy for another 1.5 years.
Chemotherapy, I know, is very, very rough. I mean, you made a comment that stuck with me about this is not a journey, not like what you see in the movies. And I think it was during the times where people were really inspired, where you had shared, on social media about a lot of the things that you were faced with and going through with chemotherapy. I want to ask you, I know that was very, very rough. What is one of the most challenging parts of that type of treatment that you faced with, that you feel that helped you build even more faith, I'm going to say?
Well, chemotherapy, there's outpatient and inpatient. Those are 2 very different ones. Outpatient, you come in for a couple of hours. It's painful and exhausting later, and then you come back for weeks of treatment later. I was inpatient, so I was getting chemotherapy inpatient because it was so potent. So a lot of it I was out of it for. The pain, I don't even remember a lot of it. I remember being in so much physical pain. I did not have the luxury to think about what my life was going to look like. I was actively trying not to die. And so my prayers to God were not to let me live. It was to let me have one more conversation with my daughter. Every night, that's all I wanted, was one more conversation with her tomorrow. And so I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, and I didn't allow myself to dare dream later. I didn't have that right then. And my husband slept every single night in the hospital. He never ever left my side except to go home, shower, and have dinner with Jacqueline, then he'd come back.
So what would you say, what helped you during these phases? Was it, sure, your faith? There's your husband. Would you say it also would be things that your mom, your family instilled in you that you drew off from? Would it be the group of friends? What was it during the times possibly when you felt all alone even?
I think, obviously my parents, I grew up military, and so my mom and dad, I had an amazing upbringing, but always to look at the bright side of things. And I've never allowed myself to ever be a victim of any kind. And so I just remained steadfast that I made a deal with the doctors. I will never ask you to stop my treatment, no matter how hard it is and no matter how much it hurts, because my goal is to survive. And so what I drew on was I have to live for my mom, my child, my husband, my sister, and my family. But specifically, I had to live for my daughter. Jacqueline is my entire world, and Jason is my best friend who just happens to be my husband. And so I couldn't leave those two.
would you say, listening to this, were the stressors on you? Not what you're going through health-wise, but the emotional stressors on you. What would you say those are? Because, now you have this concern, and I hear it about your family, but what were these stressors on you now? You're worried about how this is affecting them.
I was worried about them. I wasn't scared to die. I was scared for them, for me to die. So that was my biggest fear, was leaving them. And so Jason and I would have to have these uncomfortable conversations about things I wanted with Jacqueline, things I wanted for him. And we would have to, talk about those things. And to be in your early 40s is just not something that you expect to be doing when you were just, playing ball in the yard 3 weeks ago. I think I turned 43 or 44 right after my diagnosis.
Sometimes when I see you, Erica, you have this bright $1 million smile, and you're projecting, it's positive, where people say, oh, she doesn't look like what she's been through. What is it that gets you up where you can even muster up a smile? Because to me, this was so draining and exhausting. The times where, I'm sure there was times where I just can't even pray today, the times where I just can't even wash my face. How was that?
Oh, there were many days I couldn't get out of the bed. I was bedridden. I had meningitis in my brain and spine after all of this because of the way that my immune system broke down from chemo. But to answer your question directly, I'm alive. Of course I'm going to smile, right? Like, that's the end of it. That was my goal. That was what I asked God for. One more conversation. And so to me, there's always something to find to be happy about if you're awake. And so I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do whatever, but my goal was to laugh. And Jason and I laughed a lot, and we made inappropriate jokes because that's just how we get through life. And I feel like mentally, my big push for cancer treatment is for the mental health to be a part of the treatment plan, because that is more than anything. The mentality, if you allow yourself to, or not even allow, because sometimes it's just too painful, but if you don't constantly get up every day, wake up with a plan, I'm going to live today, I'm going to be happy today, I'm going to find something to laugh at. I did that every day. I still do it. And so as long as I kept that going, and that's just kind of how I am. I'm a positive person. I've always felt that I'm blessed. I've always felt there's things to be thankful for. I don't know how much time on this earth I have, so I want to maximize every day. I can't sit around and sulk, and when I do, I give myself like a time limit of maybe 5 minutes and say, you got to get back with it. Now, have I had depression during this? Absolutely, for sure. But I make sure that I get up and that I'm at least thinking positive thoughts.
Okay, and then last but not least, you had mentioned about when you ring the bell of the cancer treatment, and on TV and movies, we think that, okay, it's over and it's done. Just share a little bit about that.
I detest the bell. I detest it because, and I understand for a lot of people that's a great, momentous, joyful thing, and it does signify the end of part of the journey. But the problem is that story afterward is not told. So people see, like with me, you went through the stem cell transplant. Oh, she's great. No, I've had a rare pneumonia that almost killed me. I had meningitis of the brain and spine that almost killed me. I had another, Jason's not here to tell, I almost died 4 times after my stem cell transplant. Literally. I came home from MD Anderson for a 2-day visit right after I had been sworn in. It was supposed to be a 2-day visit, 6 weeks. I came home in a wheelchair. I had been in and out of consciousness while I was at the hospital because of the meningitis. So I still go through these things. Chemo is a poison. It is not simply Tylenol, right? And it kills part of what's going on, so it doesn't know cancer from anything else. So there's collateral damage. And so I have a lot of, ologists I have to see. I have a neurologist now. I have the kidney doctor, the bone doctor. Just all these doctors, because you have all these issues. And so when you ring the bell and you see it on TV, everyone, hallelujah, and it's all good. That's when the hard work starts for the patient, because you're at home, you're able to process and think, you have the luxury and unfortunately the time to think, because that's when the mental part of it really gets to you, and you're alone because everyone has gone about their day, right? You're out of the hospital. It's great. And so I liken it to, I tell my friends, it's like I was in a bomb shelter in my basement. The bomb goes off. I come upstairs and I look around and I have no idea where I should even start. What do you pick up first?
Denise, excellent work, and my hat goes off to Erica and her family, because it definitely takes a village, a team to help her to continue in her struggle.
Yes. Her bravery and her transparency, and basically what she wants to do to help other people and other families, other patients who are going through this health struggle. So again, I just thank her immensely so much.
Right, and we'll always keep them in our thoughts and prayers.
Definitely.
We'll take a quick break and back with more right after this.